customers want the experience that they want. And at the end of the day, you can agree with that or not. But I think it's always, there's always an ability to meet them halfway at the very least, and, give them your rendition or your level of quality that you can take pride in, but give them the experience that they actually want.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is sadly episode 5 of a 5-part series. And we are talking about consumer trends in coffee with Tim Cox from Franke. Our theme for this series is coffee at scale. And when it comes to scale, trends are really the thing that kind of lean into, well, once a trend can go at scale, now you've got TikTok doing weird dances around everything and recipes around it and blah, 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 blah. Tell us about consumer trends in coffee and kind of where it's going.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of directions you could go with that question.
Take it wherever you want.
It's funny you brought up the TikTok example, because I think, when approaching how you're going to make business decisions based on trends, it's important to realize that not all trends have longevity. I've seen operators who read a blog by a coffee influencer, and then all of a sudden they're pulling their espressos some just absurd way the next day.
Yeah.
And a month later, they went back to how they used to do things because perhaps they realized that, the trend in this blog isn't the experience that their customers desired, or perhaps it was a fleeting trend and you just don't see it that much anymore. But I think at the end of the day, you can get a lot of reshares or likes on Instagram and TikTok, and that does not necessarily equate to more sales in your cafe. And so, I think trends are great and have their place, but when making decisions for your business, like a theme throughout all of our conversations in these episodes has been to back them up with data. And I think that remains important. And I think there's ways that people can play around and have fun. And, if you have a seasonal menu or you're doing limited time offers, those are a great way to kind of play with some of these trends that we see going through the industry. But, and there's some that definitely do have longevity, like iced coffee, cold coffee beverages, not going anywhere. Dairy alternatives in cafes, don't really see that
become
going
mainstream. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's funny too is there's trends that people hop on, and then there's trends that people are so resistant to. And I think, part of this conversation has also been about automation. The most successful operators are investing heavily in automation right now. Customers are valuing convenient experiences more, and that does not have to be at the expense of quality. But, if you find yourself just pushing back against a trend that's very clear within the market, I think that's an opportunity to question why you're doing that as well.
You remember the multicolored grilled cheese sandwich? Do you remember the rainbow cheese sandwich?
I don't remember the rainbow cheese.
That was probably 2016, and what they were doing was they were dyeing the cheese like in like 5 different bowls, and red and orange and pink and blue and purple and blah 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 blah, and then they would line it up in a grilled cheese sandwich, and as they pulled it apart, it was you would get rainbow stretched melted cheese.
Sure.
And the number of people who would contact me and say at the time, should we do rainbow melted cheese? And I'm like, I guess you could try it. Like, why not try it? Yeah. They're like, I feel like I'm selling out. Well, what does that mean? And this term in our industry of I feel like I'm selling out is directly associated with trends. But isn't the aim to like try and jump onto a trend every now and then, like not constantly be fad driven? But what are your thoughts on when people like jump onto a trend in that way and its relationship to selling out?
Well, I think if you jump on a trend intentionally and carefully, again, if you want to have an LTO that's a rainbow grilled cheese, um, sure. I can think of maybe 5 years ago, I was living in Dallas and grilled cheese in general just became very trendy.
Yeah.
And probably 20 different independent grilled cheese concepts opened up throughout the Metroplex. And then now maybe one of them is still operating. So, I wouldn't recommend basing your entire business model on a trend. But in terms of selling out, and I've been accused of that in my career when I went a little more commercial direction in
Mhm.
coffee. But it's just such a silly term to me, especially in terms of operating a coffee business, because at the end of the day, everybody claims that they want to serve their community as well as they can, and they want to serve their customers as well as they can. But you're not going to do that if you run your business in a way that's just gatekeeping the industry for your customers, and trying to tell them what they should like. you know um Customers want the experience that they want, and at the end of the day, you can agree with that or not, but I think it's always there's always an ability to meet them halfway at the very least, and give them your rendition or your level of quality that you can take pride in, but give them the experience that
Mm.
they actually want.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant. Available now online for you to learn at your own pace, with a certificate available upon completion. Click the link in the show notes to access today for just €50.
Have you seen this trend of infused coffees?
Infused in what way?
The co-fermented coffees.
Yes. Yeah,
You know,
with mandarin and cinnamon and everything. See, and that's kind of a funny thing about the way we operate as an industry too, is I started seeing these coming out a few years ago, and I would read blogs about it, and people say, this is a way that we can circumvent some of the impacts of defects on coffee, and this is going to enable producers to make more money, because coffee that they would have had to sell in the commodity market, they can still sell in the specialty market potentially, because they've been able to make up for some of these impacts on flavor and different things. And then the only coffees I see processed this way are like geishas and
yeah.
coffees that they're selling for $15
Cup.
on the screen. And it's like, we do everything we can to justify these decisions we're making in terms of the context of producers and everything, but then we just do it like the silliest specialty coffee, least accessible way that we know how.
Which is not going to be adopted, and it's not going to be profitable, and you're going to sell 25 cups, and then you're going to not know what to do with the rest of the coffee anyway.
Yeah.
So
If I'm being completely honest, I wouldn't mind if that ends up being a trend that doesn't stick around for that long, because I've tasted some pretty expensive versions of those co-fermented coffees, and
they're just
not
hard
for
to
me.
drink all day. Taking a couple sips, it's quite nice to have a couple
really
of sips.
interesting flavors. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, that's an unusual experience. But then you're kind of to the end of the cup. I feel the same way as if I'm drinking like something really sugary. Like
Yeah,
by the
same.
time I'm at the end of it, I'm just like, I can't get through this.
However, consumers here and in Australia love them.
It,
Here, the market will drink them all day. And in Australia, the consumers love them.
Yeah.
And so this is where you look at this and you're like, this episode is about consumer trends in coffee. When you see a trend like that, offer a consumer a different way to drink things, and the industry may not want to run with them. Like the majority of people that I know in the industry are like, I don't want to serve co-fermented coffees, but I have to serve them because now I'm not naming the origin of my coffee. I'm calling it raspberry coffee, or I'm calling it, blueberry coffee, or whatever, mango coffee, because that's the descriptor that they want. They want to be able to choose coffee based on that.
I saw a company that was selling these coffees, and they had, it was just kind of a series within all of the retail offerings, but the retail packages for those coffees were designed like bubble gum packaging,
Yeah.
and kind of, they had a great co-fermented one, and it looks like a great bubble gum package. And I mean,
Wow.
I think that's pretty fun.
Totally. And in Thailand right now, what they're doing is they're creating these blends with co-fermented coffees. And there's like tiramisu and birthday cake and creme brulee and all of these kinds of things. They've doubled in that in Australia as well. And they sell out.
Oh,
And
it
so
definitely opens up really interesting potential for blending in particular,
totally.
I think.
Totally. And, I was having this thought of what a wonderful gateway these kinds of coffee offer for people who don't drink specialty coffee.
Yes.
For somebody who is very much a commercial coffee drinker, these co-fermented coffees really do offer and everyone's going to cringe when they hear me say this, but a black coffee like equivalent of wine is what these...
Okay.
This is kind of the connoisseur, for lack of a better word, for these commercial coffee drinkers. These co-fermented coffees are kind of the wine equivalent of what they drink every day. So I think these trends offer a really great gateway to shifting the staples in an industry over time.
Yeah, I can agree with that for sure. I mean, I think back to when I was working in cafes, and sometimes we'd have a natural coffee that was just kind of a one-trick pony. It's just like a blueberry bomb, like no complexity at all. And well, maybe that's not what I would drink every day. That kind of experience was so often, people read when we talked about flavor notes on bags in a previous episode, but people, if you tell somebody that this is going to taste like mandarin oranges and salted caramel, and then they taste it and it just tastes like coffee to them, like they're disappointed in that experience. But so often when we would serve that blueberry bomb natural to somebody, and they're like, this is the first time I've actually tasted what you told me I was going to taste. Like, I taste the berries, and they get so excited. And that's kind of, I think a lot of people within the coffee industry talk about their aha moment that kind of got them into coffee. And I think those are really great opportunities to offer those aha moments to your customers.
Yeah, totally. Now, we're coming to the end of the episode, and I want to ask you what you think the coming trends for consumers are going to be.
Tough one. Well, I will say I read in the most recent Allegra report, the USA version of it, that operators across the industry view the most relevant trends to watch right now as the growth of cold coffee, the growth of specialty versus traditional coffee, and the growth of drive-thrus. I don't think I really disagree with any of those. I think that there's bound to be a trendy new dairy alternative around the corner. And I've seen speculation that could be potato milk or
it
pea
should
milk.
It should be tiger nut milk. If you have you ever had tiger nut milk?
I don't even know what a tiger nut is.
I didn't until mice earlier this year, and everybody should be drinking tiger nut milk. Everybody should be it's an actual nut called a tiger nut. I don't even know what country it comes from in Africa, but it is a tiger nut that's turned into an alternative milk that tastes incredible. And it tastes even more incredible when it's with coffee. But there's one supplier in Australia, and I've never seen the supplier anywhere else in any other country. The alternative nut milk that everybody should be drinking, even if you drink cow, is tiger nut. If you can find it, go out and find it. I wish I could get it here in the Emirates.
I'll have to look that up for sure. And then I think one that I kind of predict is more fruity flavors in coffee. And whether that's coffees that are produced that way, co-fermented with fruit, or just, people strain from, the traditional flavors of things they add to coffee, like chocolates and vanillas and, even spicy flavors. But I think that we'll see more berries, more citrus, things like that in signature drinks and things like that. And then I think the trend towards automation and technology is going to continue as well. And I don't think that's just going to be restricted to segments that traditionally rely on convenience. I think I predict that in 5 years, when we look back to today, even in this specialty segment, that we'll be amazed how far that we've come in adapting technology and equipment in our processes.
All of those things you just said are exactly what I thought the trends are going to be. So I don't need to add any. We're completely aligned on that. I have nothing extra to add, except perhaps that I think we're going to have barista-less cafes. I think that
there's a
that
few
may
that's popping up around the United States right now. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that we may go in that direction, and I think that AI might start to play a bigger role. But other than that, like, I think signature drinks are going to be the next big thing in cafes for sure. Like mocktails that are all based in coffee is absolutely going to, if you're in Sydney, Australia, go and check out Stitch Coffee and the incredible job that they're doing at these kind of mocktails that are all based in coffee. They're delicious and you can drink them all day. They're that good at what they taste like.
I'm amazed at how fast the mocktail trend has taken off. And I think,
like that.
I think COVID and people reducing their alcohol intake and focusing a little more on health and well-being has fed into that. But I feel like, I travel a decent amount, and every place I go, I see zero proof bars popping up and things like that. I think it's really cool to see kind of the birth of a whole new category.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. It creates another opportunity for the cafe space to reinvent itself into the evening, I think. So we'll 100%. See. We'll see how that goes.
I kind of feel like it's going to lead to a reemergence of tea, like really well thought out tea programs and specialty coffee as well.
Really?
And I think a lot of times I see tea as an afterthought in cafes. They put so much attention in their coffee and their food, and then tea. They're like, oh, we're a coffee shop, and why would we worry about tea? But as I see like the trend of matcha growing and the trends of mocktails, which I've seen a lot that incorporate tea in them, I feel like we'll probably see some much more refined tea programs over the next couple of years.
Yeah, wow. I think that's going to be very interesting to watch. Do you think that the bubble tea thing is a part of that?
Ooh, I hope so. I used to be skeptical of bubble tea because I don't know.
You're obsessed.
I don't know why I was skeptical of it because I don't know. People told me that it was bad, I guess, and I just thought it was like this super sugary thing that I wasn't really interested in. And then in doing some market research a couple of years ago, I tried quite a few and realized that I'm a fan. I really like the duality of the textures as well. So. High quality specialty bubble tea is.
You're a fan.
Right up my alley, yeah.
Nice. It may be your retirement strategy could be all in high end specialty mocktail bubble tea. There you go. We've figured out your life plan too. Yeah, with tiger nut milk. You got to let me know what you think of that if you've managed to get your hands on it. It's amazing. It really.
I'm gonna track some.
Yeah, great. Before we go, tell people what Franke does.
Franke Coffee Systems provides automated coffee solutions. So whether that's espresso and milk-based systems or bean to cup for fresh brewed coffee that's made from fresh ground coffee brewed 1 cup at a time, just really enabling operators across all segments really to offer customers a high quality experience very accessibly by leveraging automation and technology. And it's a very fun segment of the industry to be a part of. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. It sounds like a lot of fun. And if people are coming to World of Coffee Dubai, I suspect Franke is going to be set up there, so you can check it out.
Yeah, track us down. I won't personally be there, but we will certainly be there. So if you want to come see what we're all about, that would be a great opportunity to do so.
Perfect. Folks, Franke is not a sponsor of the podcast. We don't have equipment manufacturing sponsors. I just want to be very clear on that. Okay. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on LinkedIn, by searching my name, I suppose, Tim Cox. I'm
Links
not
in the show notes.
links in the show notes. There you go. I'm not super active on Twitter or anything like that. I do have an Instagram. It's
Congratulations.
at Books and Banjos is my Instagram. So
Okay.
find me there.
I won't ask.
I like reading, and I enjoy
Play the
country
banjo.
music. I like alliteration, and
Nice.
it just kind of stumbled out. But yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best place to find me.
Great. Do you mind, sir, signing us off for the last time? Before we do go, thank you for an exceptional series. This was a really, really great series. Knocked it out of the park. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. It was certainly a lot of fun, and thank you to everyone that tuned in. Feel free to reach out if you want to continue the conversation, and peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.